All right, old school NBA fans, self-research, NBA facts. I got another video for you. Um, Again, I want to say thanks to everybody who watches my videos and subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. You guys leave great comments. I read almost every one of them. I appreciate it. The feedback, it helps. And I've taken some of you guys' advice, and I'm even going to do some videos on some people have asked me about my top 25 ranking, and I am underway of working on that right now. It's I don't use the same criteria as these idiots on TV about just count rings and MVPs and all NBAs, and no. That's not at all what I go by. Championships, yes, but only when somebody had a legitimate shot at one, not just overall. There's certain players that never really had legitimate shots at one, and the focal point of one of those players is going to be who I'm going to be talking about. In this video, and I've heard this topic brought up before, but instead of saying who's the best player to never win a championship, who's the best player to never lead the league in any of the stat categories? Now, if you count a free throw title as one of the categories, then Larry Bird is not eligible because he won 4 free throw titles. So if you take him out of the mix, then I think the best player to never lead the league in any category has got to be Tim Duncan. It's got to be Duncan. All the other players that would be in front of him, Kareem, Russell, Jordan, Magic, Bird, if we're counting the free throws, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, Kobe, they've all led the league in things. Duncan never did. He never did. And that is something that I account for too. If you've never led, not a big negative, but maybe a small one, but not a big deal. So I don't really see anybody else that the other players that I wrote down on here are Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Dirk Nowitzki, Karl Malone, and Elgin Baylor. Those are the other players that are kind of in the running, but I think we can all agree it's got to be Duncan. Eventually, Giannis and Jokic, maybe they'll get there. I don't know, but whatever. Now, for those guys there, Jokic, he's won 1 ring, 1 Finals MVP, and 3 MVPs, 4 first-team All-NBAs. Giannis has 1 ring, 1 Finals MVP, 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, 6 first-team All-NBAs, and 4 first-team All-Defenses. Really good. Dirk Nowitzki has 1 title, 1 Finals MVP, 1 League MVP, and 4 first-team All-NBAs. I think some people overrate Dirk. I think a lot of it has to do with the generation. If you're right around 40 years old, you're gonna have Dirk and Kevin Garnett higher than I probably do. But Elgin Baylor is a guy that should be on everybody's top 25 list. If he's not, then you need to really go back and look at that again. Elgin Baylor was a great player. He's not really, for me, he's not far off from Jerry West at all. Jerry West was great. They played on the same team. But, Elgin Baylor was based, they were a 1A and 1B. There was times where you couldn't tell who was the better player. Baylor just wasn't big enough to handle some of those bigger guys. He got a lot of rebounds, and he did play inside a lot of driving of the basketball. But he just wasn't big enough. And him and West just, they weren't ready for Boston and Philadelphia and some of those other teams in the East. But there is one guy here, Karl Malone. He won 2 league MVPs, 11 first-team All-NBAs, 14 overall All-NBAs, and 4 All-Defenses. Now, if you take away the titles and you say, who is the best player in NBA history to never lead the league in a category and never win a championship? For me, it's Karl Malone. I think Elgin Baylor would be a close second, but it's got to be Karl Malone. He never led the league in any category and he never won a championship. But, like I said, 2 league MVPs, which already puts him in a short list of people that maybe there's been like 12, 13 players ever that have won 2. I don't even know if it's that many. I'd have to go and look. But not very many. He's on a short list, that's for sure. And then the 11 first-team All-NBAs, I mean, that's like Michael Jordan level. Might even be more than Jordan. I'm not exactly sure how many he has, but I think it might be 10. But he's got 11. Now, Karl Malone, when he was going for these All-NBAs, the other forwards that was in there, vying for the first team, you had top 75 players all over the place. You had Dominique Wilkins, you had Dennis Rodman, Charles Barkley, James Worthy, Kevin McHale, and that was the 80s, is mostly right there who he was, going against. And then in the 90s, you had a little bit of Worthy, you had Rodman, a little bit of Dominique, you still had Barkley, you had Scottie Pippen, and then you had, Chris Mullin, Sean Kemp, those kind of players. And then later, when you got into the later 90s, you had Grant Hill, Chris Webber, and then at the tail end, Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. So he had some worthy adversaries for that first-team All-NBA forward spot. And he nabbed 11 of them. To me, and also Karl Malone scored the most points of the entire decade of the 90s. So for me, Karl Malone is a great player. He is definitely a top 20. If he would have won a championship, just one, it would have, catapulted him. Maybe not to Hakeem Olajuwon level, but Olajuwon got the 2 and everything. Not that high. But I think he would be right in there with the Dr. J, the Moses Malone, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, maybe Kevin Durant, right in that middle teen area. Right now I got him back end teen, maybe even low 20s for Malone. But he would have been much, much higher. I just don't see how there's anybody other than Elgin Baylor who fits that criteria who's better than Karl Malone. There's who you got, Anybody else you're thinking of, they've either won a championship or they led the league in something. It doesn't matter who it is. Dirk Nowitzki, Allen Iverson, anybody you think is around that, Dwayne Wade, anybody you think's right around that area, believe me, they do not qualify. Like I said, Kevin Garnett, Jerry West, Dr. J, all these guys won championships or led the league in something. So for my mind, being in such a short list of multiple MVP winners and leading an entire decade in scoring. You know how many runner-up to winning a scoring title? Malone has like 6 of them. I think Jordan beat him in every one of them. I think there might have been one year where Shaq beat him out. But he was runner-up almost every year for the 90s. It was crazy. But he had a Bulls and a Michael Jordan problem, and he never got that elusive ring. Same thing with Stockton. John Stockton gets 1 or 2 championships. He's in a whole nother level. He's above a lot of people. I got a lot of respect for John Stockton. But I cannot put him, up in that top 2 or 3 point guard area when there's guys that just deserve it more, like Magic Johnson. Now, do I think John Stockton's better than Isaiah? Longevity says he is. He's got a lot more assist titles, a lot more steals titles. Defensively, probably he was better. That's a conversation for another day, but it's close. It really is. But Magic obviously is the cream of the crop point guard. Nobody's touching Magic yet. I know people try to make a case for Steph Curry, but no, I don't think so. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about it. First, the criteria of never leading the league in anything at all, Tim Duncan, and then somebody who has never led the league in any stat category and never won a championship. I don't know how it's not Karl Malone and Elgin Baylor are the two to choose from. I mean, it's not even close. Like Charles Barkley, he never won a championship, but he has a rebounding title, so that disqualifies it. But anyway, that's it for this video, and until next time, thanks for watching.